The scoring champ from the top against Marion. Durant, pull-up jumper, up the rim, and
This is the Limitless Range Podcast. I am your host, Corey Chandler, and I am joined by my co-host, PD Pod Low.
What's up?
As usual, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at One Limitless Range, or you can jump straight to our website at limitlessrangepodcast.com. What's going on, PD Pod?
Oh, everything's going good, buddy.
Yeah.
Just, enjoying the day, watching a little hoops.
There you go. That's what's up, man. I'm excited. I'm excited for this one, man. I've been jumping back and forth a little bit with the this guy Brian that has a podcast for the Dallas Mavericks, man. And I know we've been talking about Luka a little bit. You've been excited about him all year, and I'm excited to jump on board with him today. That should be a fun one.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to meet the guy, man. He sounds like a cool dude.
For sure, man. Well, let's jump into some other things going on around the league. Other than Luka going crazy playing the air guitar and things like that. Anything, I'll toss it over to you. Usually I started off with something. Is there anything, you want to bring up first?
Let's talk about this couple funny things.
Okay, what do you got?
You hear about Noah in New York?
Joakim Noah?
Yeah.
What did he say?
I mean, he basically said he's too lit to play in New York.
I did say that. I did see that, man. So
basically, funny, man.
Basically, he just partied too hard with that New York lifestyle.
Yeah, he couldn't handle the city, the bright lights. That's crazy. But at least he owned it.
That is funny, man. That is funny.
Man,
he went on to say Memphis is perfect for him, huh?
Well, I'm sure it is. It's boring over there. Let's be real.
Falling asleep. There ain't nothing to do in Memphis.
Yeah, he can focus on hoops, right?
Yeah, that's true, man. No, that is funny.
It's crazy when you think about stuff like that. Like, you don't take that into consideration when you sign certain players. Like, some people can't handle that lifestyle change.
That's a great point.
Yeah,
that's a great point.
I wonder if that hit Carmelo, too.
J.R. Smith did okay in New York.
I was going to say that's kind of weird because, I don't know, maybe New York allows, the whole no shirt, no shoes, no service thing. Maybe they allow no shirt and they still give service. You know what I mean? He's always with a shirt off. I don't know.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, J.R. Smith did good, but J.R. Smith seems like the kind of guy that was relying strictly on talent. Joakim Noah seems like the kind of guy that has to, work on his work ethic and all that stuff every day and bring it.
Right.
If he's not focused, then he's not going to give you a good year. Whereas JR is basically playing on Henny anyways. So.
Yeah. He can hit threes on Henny regardless.
Right.
So, no, that's a good point. Man, what other funny stuff's going on around the league, dude?
What about this whole LeBron?
I was just about to bring that up. Are you going to talk about his behind-the-back defense type of stuff, or?
Yeah, the protest.
Yeah, man.
Come on, man. What are the Lakers out there holding picket fences? No more fouls. No more fouls. This is bullshit. I'm LeBron James, damn it. I'm sick of this.
Man.
I mean, seriously, come on, man. You got your hands behind your back. Are you kidding me, bro? You've gone to the line more than anybody in NBA history, bro. Stop it. Come on.
I just don't understand it, man. I feel like I just don't understand why he gets away with so much. Some of the stuff he does, dude, that he gets away with. Things like that. I feel like a lot of other players would have got teed up for things like that.
Teed up, bro. If KD told the Warriors to do that, fucking social media blast, dude. We're talking he'd be ripped.
Yeah, dude.
If any player, I mean, not just KD, anybody. But LeBron gets away with this. It's like nothing. People think it's funny and cool. It's not cool. I mean, come on.
Nene in the same game gets 2 techs, and obviously we don't know exactly what he says, but it looked like he was just getting into the rough a little bit about some calls, and it's like he got 2 techs within a few minutes, basically, and got kicked out of the game. But LeBron James can complain about every call. This is what I understand, right? In the league, it seems like arguing with the refs, cussing at them, usually a tech. If you scream down the basketball court and you're running, your hands are in the air and you run away from the referee, usually a tech.
Oh yeah, big time.
If you throw your hands up in the air and you flail and you jump up and down, usually a tech. How in the world can LeBron James manage to do all three at the same time and not get teed up for things? I just don't get that.
I'm at a loss for words here, man. It's so frustrating. I mean, he undermined the coach, right? Again, because there's no way Luke Walton ordered his players to do that.
It's like, go ahead. Play no defense.
There's no way. That was a LeBron order.
Man, dude, we talked about this a couple podcasts ago, man. We could probably get heated into this, but I'm just honestly tired of watching coaches not have any authority over players. Like, why are they even the coach, man? Talk about the Chicago Bulls thing a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, players crying about suicides. You get paid $20 million, dog. Run your suicide and shut up.
Right? Text, oh, you're too good to run suicide. I'm texting, guys. I don't want to go to practice. Let's all not go to practice. And then what's going to end up happening? Probably this coach is going to get fired because now Zach LaVine don't feel like playing basketball. How is that all on the coach?
Yeah, did you hear they said they basically told him, you ain't Popovich? I would have been like, you ain't Kawhi Leonard, dog. So get to running your motherfucking suicides, boy. That's what I would have said, bro. Like, straight up. I ain't Pop, you ain't KD or LeBron, so shut up.
That would have been legit. No, that's funny, man. But yeah, dude,
man,
I feel like some of
crazy.
these players in the league, man, are just getting a little too privileged.
They're spoiled, dude.
They are. They're spoiled, man.
And we know who the king of the spoil is.
Dougie?
Dougie, what's his name?
That's me.
Nah, man, it's just, people always say, why don't you like LeBron James? He's the best player. I don't get it. He's so talented. I don't have a problem with his game. He's amazing.
He's got Chosen One tattooed on him.
It's the antics. It's the antics. I can't handle the antics. I can't handle I'm going to have my hands behind my back and play defense to show that you're not giving me respectful calls. Like, come on, man. Just hoop.
Maybe you should take that talent to South Beach.
Maybe, man.
Just saying.
I don't know.
But yeah, man, it's interesting. One thing I was kind of excited to talk to you about. I've been super busy with work this week, so I know our fantasy chat has been kind of blowing up with things like this, and I've seen it, all over ESPN and stuff. But this talk about, the 2001 Lakers, compared to the Warriors of today, and who would win that matchup.
Yeah, it's...
What do you got to say about that?
I don't even want to talk about it. It's like, are you serious? Is someone really asking me this question? Come on.
I am.
You got three of the best shooters in NBA history. You got Kevin Durant.
You really have Derek Fisher in your top three shooters of all time?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right?
Shaq? What?
No joke. No, I just, for me, it's like, you remember how they had the Bulls and the 73 win Warriors? Like, they were comping those teams because of the 70 wins. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people had it like 50-50. And it's like, you're telling me you add Kevin Durant and DeMarcus Cousins, and now we're going to bring up a team that's worse than the Bulls and say that they could beat that team? It makes no sense. It's like, okay. And we even asked our producer, we kind of got him caught up. We were like, yo, who do you got? The Bulls or the Warriors? He was saying how the 73-win Warriors. He's like, oh, it's close.
It'd be pretty close.
But then he picks the Lakers to beat the new Warriors that are way better than the 73-win Warriors.
Adding Cousins, adding Durant.
KD, yeah. So, I mean, these guys just contradict themselves left and right. It's hard to listen to.
It doesn't make sense, man. It's like they grab a loss. It's like they grab a loss against Toronto and they just assume, oh, Toronto's winning the championship for sure this year. And now I'm not even sure if this Warriors team is going to... I don't even know if they're going to make it past the first round. And they probably definitely would lose to the 2001 Lakers. It's like they're just throwing in everything.
Yeah, I mean, dude, don't get me wrong. Shaq would be a beast.
Yeah, he would.
But people don't understand the integral parts of the game. Like, I'll give you okay, you hit Shaq, right? There's the hack a Shaq you can run.
Yeah.
Right? They're gonna employ that.
I would.
Shaq, I think, what was it in game one? He shot 10 for 22 from the free throw line.
That's perfect. I got a bunch of 3-point shooters, and you're going to go less than 50%. You're getting 1 point, not even 1 point down the court, and I'm getting 2.5 probably.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll take it.
All right, look, and then let's go.
22 from the line.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's horrible.
No, 10 for 22 for the line. That's what I'm saying. It's not even. Yeah, you're not even. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So okay, so that's a factor, right? And everyone's like, "Oh, Shaq's gonna dominate." Yeah, I won't argue that. Shaq will get his in the paint.
Right.
But let's take in the fact that who's Shaq gonna guard when Cousins or Looney or whoever goes and sets a screen on Curry, and now Shaq has to switch on to Curry. Imagine that matchup.
Yeah, Shaq,
He's going to have to switch, or Curry's going to get a wide open three off the screen.
yeah. Well, you have to switch off screens with Curry because if you give Curry any sort of,
If you hedge it or anything, he's going to hit.
I mean, he's got limitless range.
So, yeah, limitless range, baby. But seriously, I'm just saying, like, imagine Shaq guarding Stephen Curry, the best shooter in NBA history.
Right.
Like, we can all agree to that. He's the best shooter ever.
Yep.
And you're going to have Shaq on him? Like, these matchups don't make no sense. It's
mean,
easily the Warriors.
You don't think
Not
Derek?
even close.
You don't even think Derek Fisher could lock him down?
Yeah. Fisherman? Nah, I'm good. I
mean,
like Derek Fisher, too, man. We're talking about Steph Curry. We're talking about Kevin Durant.
But if it is, I mean, we don't know where they're playing. If it's just a regular season game, but if it is like Game 7 in a big series, Robert Horry might come through, man. But,
I don't know. What's your take? I mean,
I don't
who
know,
you
man.
got? You got the Lakers or you got the Warriors?
No, man, I'm with you. I definitely got the Warriors, like you said. I just keep hearing people talk about, the shooters that they would have with Fisher, who clearly never got to play back then, from our Laker producer over there. But I'm hearing, they got Fisher, they got Horry, they got Fox, they got dudes who can stroke. It's like, are we really going to compare those three or even talk about those three? Like, they got shooters too. Okay. The Warriors got Looney too. They got some post presence inside. Like, no, we're not going to comp Looney to Shaq. Like, let's stop.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, those are obviously a little bit different, but I'm just saying, you can't even say they had shooters if you're going to talk about shooter versus shooter. It's not.
What did
even
Kobe
close.
shoot from three? Wasn't it like 30%?
Something like that.
Come on, I'm not scared of that.
He was killing it. I mean, I think he was like 28.
Yeah, he had pretty
29 points a
numbers,
game,
but I mean,
shooting wise,
in terms of 3-point percentage, it
Yeah.
wasn't pretty.
I know his field goal is up in the high 40s, but yeah, 3-point shooting, it's like, ugh.
Well, yeah, if you're asking me, hey, the game's on the line and it's a tie game, if you're going to hit Derek Fisher, Robert Horry, a role player, if they're going to hit it, yeah, I might give it to him. But the problem is I think the Warriors are going to win by 20 or 30. So you're not going to get that opportunity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, that's a good point, man.
Come on, it's just not even close.
Yeah.
You're talking about two superstars versus arguably 4 superstars if you add Cousins. I mean, the debate has to have Cousins, right? Because that's what the pitcher had. It was
Maybe
DeMarcus
5
Cousins.
stars, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say Draymond's.
You're not giving Draymond star credit anymore?
Yeah, he's a star. There's probably 3 superstars and 2 stars.
Stars, yep, there you go.
Yeah, I shouldn't have said 4 superstars because
I like
Clay.
that.
I don't really have Clay as a superstar, but he's definitely a star.
Yep.
Two-way star.
Yep, absolutely.
Clay's going to make it tough for Kobe. KD, they could throw bodies at him. Who's going to guard KD, man? I know nobody wants to hear this, but I don't think anybody on that team can guard KD.
Ain't never.
No one's going to
I'm
guard
with you,
Shaq.
man.
I give you that. Shaq's dropping 40. Problem is KD, Clay, and Steph are combining for 100. So
Yeah. No, I'm with you, man. Talking about great matchups just because, we got a Dallas Mavs thing going on today, and I know you're a big fan of this run, and we haven't hated on LeBron enough today. Dude, let's talk just a little bit about that 2011 Mavs run, man, with Dirk and the boys and what they did to LeBron James.
it was impressive. I mean, we're going to talk about this later, and I'm excited to hear it from a
That's
Mavericks
what I'm excited
perspective.
about, man. I've been waiting for that. I don't think I've ever honestly talked to a Mavs, like a diehard Mavs fan. I got some people I know that like the Mavs, but not like dudes that dive.
Yeah, they like Dirk a little bit or something. Yeah,
exactly.
I know
This
what you
dude
mean.
is gonna have some just super solid information about it.
Yeah, I'm
And,
excited to hear, just him break it down because, like you said, we were a fan of what Dirk did. Mm-hmm. It was amazing. It was one of the best runs I've ever seen. I was at a loss for words when he beat that team. I didn't think he had any shot. They were stacked. It's like when LeBron cries about, KD having a stacked team and it's impossible to beat. To me, Dirk was in the situation, like 1 versus 3. You're talking about 3 apex players in their prime years, right?
That's true.
I don't want to hear that he had Jason Kidd. We're talking way past prime, on his, dude was old. And he beat 3 apex players. 1 apex player, 1 prime player versus 3 prime players.
No.
And he took them out.
I mean, he did have the confidence of Jason Terry. Didn't Jason Terry tat the championship trophy on him before they even got there? I mean,
oh man, that's
how
funny.
can you count a dude out like that? Like, bro, I'm putting ink on me. I'm gonna beat you. Like we've seen some people be confident. I mean, they got Luka down there who seems pretty confident, but damn, that's saying something.
That's confidence at its finest. I mean, I would never do something like that. I'm a pretty confident guy, and if you lose, you're deemed idiotic. If you win, you're a legend.
Well,
So Jason Terry's a legend right now. It's pretty cool.
I thought it was pretty cool, man. It's almost like I feel like that moment is just him saying, I 100% believe in this team. And it was like, it just showed that that's why that team was so good. It's like all of them felt the same way. Not all of them are dumb enough to go out and get a tattoo, which didn't end up being dumb. It ended up being a pretty cool story now. But you could just tell that whole team believed in themselves, you know. And if you had LeBron James and you had all these players and you were the Miami Heat and you got a tattoo, it wouldn't be as impressive in the moment because you'd be like, they're favored by so much. But this dude was not even close to being favored, and he's like, I don't care, man. I believe in my squad. Put it on me. I'm inking this thing in. I'm beating this team. That's badass, man.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. I think he did it before the year. I can't remember.
Was it before the year? I thought it was before the playoffs or something.
Maybe it was before the playoffs. You might be right.
We got to look that up. But that either way, man,
either way, it's still a G move.
Yeah, it is. That's a boss move, man.
I like it.
Yeah, man, just, you know, swinging now, you know, from the confidence of, you know, Dirk and, you know, obviously the confidence of Jason Terry. And now we're looking at Doncic, who I know you really liked. And we're going to obviously, you know, continue talking about this in a little bit with Brian. But, you know, just before we get him on, what are some things that you've seen from Luka and the confidence he's had that you really like?
I watched some film on him, you know, before our fantasy basketball draft. Because I wanted to see a bunch of these rookies because we have a keeper league, so I wanted to make sure.
You wanted to draft 900 rookies, I saw.
Yeah. Better than all the old geezers you drafted. But anyways, no, I basically was like trying to, you know, pick out a handful of rookies that I really liked.
Right.
And most of the rookies I took are all the ones kind of shining right now. Let's be real.
Oh, stop it. How in the world can all your rookies be shining and you're at the bottom of the standings? What's the rest of your team doing?
I'm not at the bottom, play. You better recheck.
You're not anymore?
Hell no, I ain't. I'm in the playoffs right now.
Are you?
So you better recheck those standings before you come at me with those facts.
You want to talk about playoffs?
Better recheck those standings.
I'll check them. I haven't checked them in a while. I'm sitting at the top, so I'm just kind of floating for a little bit. But
so, okay.
Top two. We'll see, though. We'll see if those rookies pan out, man. I know we're getting a little off subject here, but this is going to be a good battle, man. It's been a while since me and you in fantasy, I feel like, have had like a heated rivalry. We played each other in the championship last year, but it was almost like we kind of, I don't know, we didn't really go at each other. It was almost like we just had a respected battle. It's like, man, maybe we need to, you know.
Well, I think a lot of it was because I was playing with house money.
Is that what it was?
Well, yeah, because I went rebuild, remember?
That's true.
It's really hard to talk trash to a guy that makes the finals that went rebuild, gave away all his stars, and still makes the finals.
That's true.
You know what I mean? And credit to you, you had the best team. There's
and
no
it's funny because
disrespect
you gave
there.
away all your stars to a dude in my division who then got smoked by me. So yeah, that is pretty
shots
funny.
fired. But you know what I mean? Like, had I been competing and like ready to battle you, I think we would have talked a little more trash. But the fact that we both knew that, I was just kind of like, wow, how did I get here?
Yeah, I felt the same way, man. I was honestly going in the same way with no keepers, but
I knew you'd have to throw that in there.
Yeah, man, but so maybe this year will be the year for that. But yeah, just back to you know, Luka and the confidence he's having. You know, we're about to get Brian on the phone. I know he's anxious to talk to us, and we're anxious to talk to him.
Yeah, man, let's get him going, man.
Yeah, man, let's get him in, man. I'm excited to talk about it. I know everyone's been kind of hitting us up, and they've been, you know, seeing Luka and seeing the things he's doing on ESPN with that step back three is so nasty, and the the smackdown he put at the end of the game against Houston, the confidence he had in that game at home was really cool, man. So let's get Brian on, man. Let's hear a little bit more about the Mavs, dude.
Yeah, I think you know, we'll get Brian's perspective. We're gonna kind of let him just talk and just tell us about Dallas and all that stuff.
For sure.
You know, I think
let
it'd
us
be
get
pretty
the
cool.
insight from him, and that's gonna be a fun time. So yeah, let's get him dialed in. Hey, man, before we get Brian on the line, dude, let's do our trivia question. We haven't done that yet.
Oh, good call, bro. We got to get that done.
Let's get that dialed in, man.
We actually had pretty good response last week, right?
We did. We got
a bunch of people hitting us up.
We got a lot of people that jumped in the raffle. Let's just remind them one more time. Each week that you hit us up, whether it's DM, on anything, however you get your answer in for this trivia question, you get your name into a raffle. So if you get your name in every single week, all the way until All-Star Weekend, you're going to have a better chance of winning the raffle. What's the raffle? What are we giving away, Pete?
Man, brand new? No, I'm just kidding. A free jersey, bro.
Yeah,
it's pretty
man.
Sick.
That's sweet, man. I mean, all of us are like, oh, man, I wish I want to buy this jersey. And then we a lot of times don't pull the trigger. So getting it for free, it's like,
I almost quit the show just so I could call in for the raffle.
That's a good point, man. That's not a bad idea. But no, you're right. We've had great feedback, man, and we're looking forward to just continuing to get more and more. So don't forget to get this trivia question in. You know, since we're going to have Brian on today, let's make it a Mavs trivia question.
I like it.
Yeah?
I like it. What you got for me?
let's just let's not make it too hard on the listeners. Just let us know what year Dirk Nowitzki got drafted.
Ah.
Yeah, you like that?
Good one.
All right, so let's do it, PD Podlo. Let's go ahead and get Brian on the phone right now.
Let's do it.
All right, we got Brian Zilem on the line with Blue Hardwood Pocast. We've been getting a lot of people writing us in about Luka Doncic and the stuff he's got going on lately, and just the Dallas Mavericks and the rise of that squad. So we figured you'd be the best one to hit up, and we just really appreciate you getting back to us, Brian. Do you want to go ahead and just give the listeners a little background about how you became a fan, why you're a fan, where you're at, and everything like that?
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys again for having me on. I'm really honored. Corey, Peter, appreciate it. I've actually been pretty much a diehard fan, originally from Dallas, currently a Austin resident, but pretty much, growing up, early, later part of the 90s, the Cowboys at that point were kind of like petering out, Aikman and triplets and everything like that was pretty much done. And then, the Mavericks were just kind of they came into the late 80s, and then, they had their run late 80s, but then after that, they were just really bad for a while after their, time with McGuire and everything like that. And then, they were really just terrible for the 90s for a very, 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 very long time. You had people like, Michael Finley, Steve Nash, finally, joined the squad after some time, but there were some tough wins. The year they won about 6 or 7 games, I recall each one of them. And I remember just reading the paper each day and asking my dad if the Mavericks would have a chance of winning. And he would say, oh, maybe. And, of course, they would get destroyed because they were terrible. But, sorry about that. Just rambling on a little bit. But, yeah.
No, you're good,
It's
man.
awesome.
Mavericks,
I'd like to hear it.
2011 happens. Fantastic. That was my Boston Red Sox moment.
That's cool.
So I knew after that I could die. I could have died and very content and happy. I'm just very, very I was more excited just for that man and what he's done for the city of Dallas. I'm sure we'll talk about how he, how great he is here within y'all's segment here, our show, in a little bit. But and then, I've started, was doing a solo podcast with my friend Corey for a while, and then
good name.
Late last year, we were doing it for a while, and then we just both got really busy, and then I just got the itch. I would say around April, I started doing the podcast, and it's been interesting kind of doing it solo too, but luckily we felt to a lot of great, interesting people along the way that have been very helpful. Shout out to Colt Molesky and Matt Shook. I've been two people that have really helped me throughout this process. Matt Shook, he does the Locked On Pistons podcast, and Colt Molesky, he does the Locked On Wolves podcast.
Cool. I want to check that out.
Yeah, especially within this part of the business, people are so nice. We're too nice, especially when I have no experience, and we've got these. I'm reaching out to these guys who, at games covering, in the press box, the day to day, and I can't just thank these people enough for giving me a chance. And then I would say around the summertime, I jumped on with Dallas Sports Nation to kind of be a part of their network, and we're of course now with the Mavs Nation as well. We're representing the Mavs part of their website specifically, and now I'm kind of just the section manager of the site right now. So it's of the Mavs Nation section. So it's been fun. Didn't think I would be doing as well as I thought, but it's fun. I've been kind of just not really doing it for any glitz or glam. It's just more just kind of for me and just making time for it.
Dude, that's honestly, man, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that, because that's exactly what Pete and I are trying to do. We're not jumping into this because we want to make crazy amount of money or anything. It's not about that. We just love talking ball, and we're the same thing. Doing the same thing you were. We had an itch to kind of find a platform to talk ball outside just our fantasy buddies and just texting and stuff like that. And so it sounds like you're doing the exact same thing, man. And, we really appreciate you jumping on and sharing that with us.
I think that was really good insight that you gave, man. Like for, other podcast listeners, when they listen to that, if they ever want to do their own thing.
Yeah, it gives them a little bit of an inspiration, man, because I think, like you said, we're all starting out just like jumping behind a mic, not really sure what we're doing, Are we going to get listeners? Are we going to get people to talk to us? What segments are we going to do? And you're kind of, showing that, with a little bit of hard work and just, continuing to work at it. You can
and
get
he's
some
paying
places.
homage to people.
Yeah,
like I
that's
love
awesome.
how humble you are, man. You seem like a real cool dude. I like that.
Appreciate that. Yeah, man. Because, especially at the end of the day, if you're getting help along the way, you got to always acknowledge that. Because, I know, because, especially, you reach out to, whether it be somebody who's a writer or even like a player, if you get to that point, you have to just, they're doing it for free. And they're giving you the most important thing out of their day is their time. So, if you can just provide that acknowledgement, like, hey, man, can't thank you enough, I figure if worst case scenario, just down the road, if you can pay it forward to somebody else, jumping off with you guys or something like that, or if anybody else, down the road, I hope you guys would do the same for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. No, that's super cool, dude.
I like it.
I know Pete's kind of anxious to talk a little bit of Dirk. Would you mind, we heard you talk about the 2011 team and how much that meant to you. Pete and I are big time kind of LeBron haters, so
we don't like LeBron.
seeing Dirk do what he did.
Dirk did me the biggest favor in the world, man. I just have so much respect for him. To me, it was one of the greatest playoff performances in NBA history, and I think he should get more recognition for it, honestly, because taking on LeBron cries all the time about how he has to take on the Warriors and how many stars they have, but it's like, dude, Dirk took on three guys in the height of their career, in prime of their positions. So, and he beat them. I mean, I know he had some help with Jason Kidd and Jason Terry, but they were, in the twilight years of their careers. But I just love that Dirk did that, How are you feeling about it?
I honestly still to this day feel like it's one of the most underrated reported championship wins in probably history of sports. The Giants taking down the Patriots, that's obviously up there for football. But my God, and then the fact that the Mavs were down 0-1, they got drilled a little bit, and then the fact that they came all the way back in game 2 in the fourth quarter. I should know this off the top of my head. I want to say they were down 14, 12 points with 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, I think you're right. I remember that.
Of course, after Wade sank a 3, he was over there just showboating, being a douchebag like he always is.
I love this guy already,
dude.
man.
I love this guy.
Keeps fitting him better and better.
Yeah, keep going.
Man, well, again, you guys got to understand, I'm always going to be a little salty about 05-06.
That's true.
Yeah, so I'm going to be a little always. I should let that go, but that was pretty bad. But yeah, just the fact that they were able to come back, and then that was a team effort, and a lot of people forget. The Mavericks lost one of the best scorers for the year, Caron Butler. He was out that entire year. Yeah, so Caron Butler, he was out that entire. He got hurt really early in the season, so that was an important punch they got from the Wizards the season before. So, we assumed he was going to be an important part of that entire run. Just to circle back just to that entire playoff run real quick. Obviously, they went through Portland. Just smacking around the Lakers was awesome too. And just the fact that the Mavericks.
You just nailed 2 guys in the room. I'm a huge Portland Trail Blazers fan, and then our producer is a massive Lakers fan, so that's hilarious.
That's awesome.
Yep.
But the Mother's Day massacre. Mother's Day will always be special, not only just because it's Mother's Day, but just the fact that the Mavs just annihilated the Lakers and dropped about 22 on that day.
I love this guy, man. That's awesome.
That was always fun. And then kind of seeing Phil Jackson in his prime, that was his last game ever, pretty much. So that was neat. And then taking out the up and coming Thunder before they were the Thunder, and then making that rally versus Miami. But yeah, just overall, I feel like that. You can say the entire title run was, it wasn't super crazy, but just like the finals itself, I feel like that's a very underrated, underreported like thing because we had 3 superstars. Yes, it was like their first year, but I don't want to hear that crap. You had 3 all-stars, and then we just had this one guy and we had a whole bunch of veterans. Like, Jason Kidd was like on his last leg.
Yep.
Terry was getting there. I mean, you had Deshaun Stevenson, Tyson Chandler. I mean, we just had a whole bunch of dudes that were just gritty. They knew their role, and they didn't bitch and moan about anything. They just came to work, man. Yep. And like that's like one of the best things about Dirk. Like, I feel a lot of people don't realize how great this guy is, and a lot of people are gonna acknowledge like him being great before like, I want people to just embrace him, man, because like we're never ever gonna see an athlete like this, not only in like the Dallas area, but just like in sports, because like, I'm sure everybody realizes, or they may not, but like Dirk is like the 3rd highest paid player in the NBA, and he doesn't even have an agent.
Man,
like how crazy is that?
That is crazy.
And he's done, like, if you look it up, like, he's 3rd or 4th, I think, like all time, and like highest like earning in the NBA.
Has he never had an agent?
No, he's never had an agent.
That's crazy.
It's well deserved.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah. I mean, his shooting coach Holger. I mean, I think that he might be his like advisor, but like, he's just like, hey, what's like kind of fair? You know what I mean? Like, so especially he's given, and keep in mind he's given Dallas like 2 to 3 discounts at least. So he could be like the first. He could be number 1 like overall if he was really looking for the money. But like, very like the humblest guy like I've ever seen just play any sport. And then the fact that he got his one. Had he not, if he had been on that Mount Rushmore with Barkley and Malone, it'd been very sad. But man, just seeing him go out and get that 1 in 11, it'll always be very special to me. And then just recently passing Kobe for the most seasons on a like single team, that was big. Also like something
21, right?
Yep,
21.
Yeah,
that's huge.
Yeah, just made his first cameo of the season last night.
I guess the 21-year-old.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it looks pretty rusty, but it's gonna come when you're like 40 and you're just coming off a really bad injury, looking around a little bit. But yeah, we just gotta. Whether he's playing 5 minutes or DMPing, I would highly suggest those in the Dallas area that ever want to catch a game, or if the Mavericks are in town, like, go watch them. Like, even just because I feel in my heart of hearts this is probably his last hurrah.
Yeah,
to be quite honest, like he, apparently according to folks that cover the team on the day to day, seen him kind of like around shoot around, training camp, stuff like that. He's moving around like an old dude, pretty much, like a guy who's played 21 seasons in the NBA, and then you start the season, not with that injury, it kind of foregoes like. I think he's going to know. He's going to just be like a Tim Duncan and just kind of go out in the sunset and not make a big deal out of it. But I kind of feel like this will be his last season.
Yeah, that's funny. I actually heard something the other day. It was like they were in practice and all the people, the media people were around Doncic taking pictures, and Dirk's like, has it really gotten to this point where I got to go stand by Doncic to get a picture now? It was so funny. He was just joking, obviously, just being fun. But
that's awesome.
I love his personality, man. Well,
Brian, I could just feel your passion. I feel like Pete's a big KD guy. I'm a big Blazers guy, and we could talk about our teams forever, man. And I just feel that same way about you. It's like you just want people to understand. I'm the same way when the Blazers get hated on. It's like, I just want people to see, what I see, and I feel the exact same way from you about the Mavs, man. It's really cool to hear, just how passionate you are about them, and just diehard, Mavs fan, diehard Dirk guy, and you just really want people to see the same thing you do, and I think Pete and I are the exact same way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man, that's now we talked about Dirk a little bit. I think all of us
jump into the torch passing.
Yeah, passing the torch. Yeah, absolutely. So Luka Doncic, man, it's pretty cool stuff, man, what you guys got going on down there. I'll be honest, I wasn't too sure with what you guys did in the draft at first. I was like, I don't know, man. Did the Mavs make the right decision? And I told Pete at the beginning of the year, he actually drafted him in our fantasy league. And I'm
he laughed.
Yeah, I was like.
He laughed at me.
Okay, I might have laughed a little bit, but I was like, I think Luka's going to be nice, but he drafted him third round. I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I necessarily believe fully in Luka that much. And now lately I got him, sharing Instagram videos of Luka going crazy against Houston, just crazy stuff. So it's been cool to watch, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of jumping on the Luka trail with the rest of the people. So
right,
Pete, you want to jump in with some of the questions we got?
Oh yeah, man, let's do it. You got that first question? Let's see. Here we go. So when it came to Doncic, my big thing is like with his athleticism. What do you see? Do you think he's going to be able to develop and keep growing, or is it kind of like what we're seeing is what we're going to get? You know what I mean? Is his ceiling as high as some of these other rookies, or is he kind of already like a finished product? I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Man, he's like, I will be quite honest. I feel like I've been watching this game for a very long time. I feel like I've never seen a cat quite like this dude, just as far as his size, his ability just to do what he does as far as distribute, score, his IQ. It's like ridiculous. I think right now, I'll be honest, I don't know what his ceiling is, because it's like coming into the draft, I had no idea how good this kid was going to be. I thought he would be like decent for sure this year. This would be like an excuse for people to watch the Mavericks, like, hey, like the Mavericks suck, but like let's watch this kid who's going to be really good someday. And especially like, Mavs start 2-7. So, it's pretty rough. So, and then I was just like, oh, that's a shock. But then it's like, they just flip the switch, they're playing well at home, and then Luka's just balling, man. And it's like, he's got, a lot of problems with turnovers. I mean, his turnover rate is probably always going to be a little high, but just as far as like what he's good at right now, like, man, he's a freak, honestly, just because people don't give him credit for being as athletic as he is. I'm sure y'all have heard like the Luka song by now, I'm sure. Like, yeah. Where they think he's just like a chubby white guy. I mean, is he like big? I mean, I guess you could say he has a little baby fat on him if you want to say, but I mean, the first scoring play of his, I guess, career, I mean, I count in preseason, he was a basket versus the Beijing Ducks. The Beijing Duck guy missed it, and he just took it coast to coast like it was nothing. And I was like, holy crap, like I didn't think this guy could move that fast. He's deceptive as far as what he does. I mean, his step back now is just
so nasty.
It's so stupid. Like, it's beautiful when it goes in, but when it misses, I've used this analogy. Hopefully this isn't over you guys' head. Like, it's like playing duck hunt. You shoot the duck, it just like goes. It's just like, it looks really bad.
That's awesome. Like, I love that. I used to love that game.
That's a great game.
Yeah, but that's probably my best analogy for that. Yeah, and then his IQ is just off the charts. He almost has like Jason Kidd vision at 19 years old, which makes no sense. How do you do that? But this has also been like a dude that's been like playing with grown men overseas like the last 3 or 4 years or whatever it's been. So that obviously helps.
Yeah, I actually seen like this. I think it was some sports science or something. They broke down. They had this stat. It's like untraditional athleticism, and this is like basically for the athletes who are like athletic but don't really look it, And James Harden was in the 99th percentile, and Luka Doncic was in 93rd percentile.
Damn.
So I mean, he's up there, and they were comping him to James Harden. And if you really look at it, there's a lot of similarities there in the, like the step back. You can go with the step back and the playmaking, and they have a lot of similarities. I mean, that's a pretty good comp. I mean, we're talking about the MVP of the NBA, So
For sure.
He's, if you're getting comped that early to James Harden as a rookie,
It's true.
it's a pretty big deal.
He's
I
got the
think.
confidence already too.
That's true.
That's massive. That's what's cool to watch about him. He's got that. Like you said, the Mavs are now getting to the point too where they're seem to be fun to watch as a team lately, especially at home. Obviously struggling on the road. Is it 2-10 on the road?
Yes,
Yeah, 2-10.
after
Not to hate on the squad since you kind of brought up my Blazers, but 2-10 on the road.
No, yeah, it's not good. I think they've had one of the easiest stretches to start the season thus far. I mean, when they started 2-7, I was like, well, I told you guys, like I was just a very strong advocate. Like I think the Vegas over under was like 34, 35, which would have been about a 10 to 11 game swing from last year. And I was like, there's no way that's going to happen. But again, I did not think Luka would just be this good out the gate.
So you were kind of like me. You weren't fully a Luka believer at first either.
No, not at all. I was ready just to say, hey, let's see what this kid looks like in about 2 or 3 years. Like, he's still a baby.
So,
but,
I brought up draft night. Take me back to draft night. They make that move. They give up the pick, and you guys end up with Luka. At first, were you thinking, man, that was too much, or were you thinking, you know what, I believe in the Mavs organization. I think it was a good move. What were you feeling that night?
Yeah, it was very unfortunate just the way the draft fell. Mavericks ended up getting slotted at number 5, which was very just crappy luck. And there was a lot of different variables on, people they would actually look at. I think there was a lot of, Triple J talk, maybe somebody like Mo Bamba, Wendell Carter. I mean, even Michael Porter Jr. was like thrown in there for a little bit. Thank God that didn't happen. But just like,
yeah.
I don't think theoretically anybody thought Luka was going to be an option because, according to the scouts, he was like the best player in the draft. So it's just like, okay, like there's no way he's going to drop that far. And then as draft day came to fruition, like there's a lot of like scuttlebutt, Mark Stein, like, man, he used to like work with the Mavs, and he's like one of the best ones out there as far as like knowing Dirk and Cuban and the organization. So he's dropping that knowledge, and Steiny's reporting something. There's some smoke to the fire kind of thing. So
for sure,
there was a lot. So there was like, hey, Dallas is really trying to move up. They really like Luka, blah blah blah. So I was like, all right, cool. So the initial proposed trade was to have swap picks. Mavs trade Matthews to Atlanta, West, who gets who has an expiring deal, and then the Mavs would get Bazemore. They would have to take back the money at Bazemore, which I believe after this year he has like 2 more years. It's like not terrible money. I think it's about at almost $20 million a year. But Mavs didn't want to do that. So, but then obviously the trade went through. They agreed to have trade swap picks. They Mavs obviously draft Trae Young for Atlanta, and then they offered the next year's pick, which is top 5 protected. I personally don't like the trade as far as just that value, just because obviously if Luka turns out to be like a freaking almost all-star this year, then it's a wash. But like when you're just a terrible team and you're giving up assets, like, no, that's not how you build a team. Like,
yeah, that's a good point.
You got overall scheme. If you're asking me, would I rather have like Ken Bazemore or DeAndre Jordan right now? Friggin' Bazemore, man. Like, and then there's a possibility like you would have a shot on one of these Duke kids that adds with Luka. Hello, give me Zion or
that's a great point.
That's a good point.
Whomever.
That's a great point.
Like that. That's just me, like, looking at it just kind of an overall perspective. I will still always be, like, a little sour just on, like, how they mismanage that a little bit, just because, like, the way they have the roster set up next year, like, theoretically, they only have, like, 3 people under contract next year. So, like, that looks really dumb then, because if they're, like, let's say if they don't make the playoffs, then that sucks, because you have all this money and you don't have a draft pick. So it's like, But, it took place. It happened. I was like, wow, okay, so Mavs got the best player overall in the draft. So that was pretty exciting. I mean, I was, excited for Triple J, and, I liked Ayton coming out too, because he kind of reminded me of a, David Robinson starter kit that could run like a deer. And, it's been fun to watch kind of him and Luka battle it out a couple times already. And of course, these Suns have gotten the best of Luka twice now. And of course, that's not good when you play a team and 40% of their wins have been against you so far. So
that's funny.
We have to fix that.
Right.
Not good, but no, it's it's the draft night. It was a lot of people were just going nuts. They were just like, "Oh my God, we've got like a white man can't jump combo of yesterday and Luka." Like, because I'm sure y'all have seen those pictures around. A lot of people, a lot of Mavs people have them out of their backgrounds, but I think that was what they were super excited about. It was interesting just from the standpoint of, the Mavs last year, got a point guard and DSG. That draft the year before was like super point guard heavy, and then essentially they get kind of like a point guard again, in this year's draft. So it's like, okay, you drafted like a quarterback last year, kind of in the middle of a round, to look at an analogy, but then you get the best one available ever. So it's just like, hey, now you got two players that are really good at one position. So, so obviously they're still trying to find their way how to juggle that, as far as the team balance and everything like that. But it was really cool to get him. Draft night, a lot of Mavs people were just super excited that they actually pulled it off and thought haha, Atlanta, you're freaking morons. But I think it has positives and negatives like everything.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. Talking about obviously what Luka's doing now, and kind of just the rise of the excitement going towards Dallas. It would be it'd be cool to see, like you're talking about, with only 3 guys under contract next year. Is that this next year, right?
Yeah, so right now, I mean, you've got Barnes, who has an opt-out.
Okay.
So I believe it should be Luka, I want to say Powell, and then I want to say DSJ. Yeah, Luka, Powell, and DSJ, I believe, are the only ones that are officially under contract. That's what again, that's an interesting talking point as far as this roster construction, because you're really only going to have X amount of players. Barnes, I feel I think he'll opt out, because I think he wants something bigger, and that'll just add another nuance to the deal. And then the Mavs also have players that are going to be restricted that they got to figure out if they're going to commit to full time, because players like Jordan Finney-Smith and then Mackie Kuliba, there's been solid kind of role player guys, and they're going to have to figure out, hey, we can't pay you both $40 million, so we got to almost probably pick one, because I don't think they're going to get both of them on the cheap like that, because as of present day, they're making a little bit of money come next year. Yeah,
no, absolutely, man. So it seems like you guys will have a little bit of money to toss around then, right? You feel like there's
yes.
Do you feel like there's anybody, if you could make it happen, is there anybody like a star that you could? I'll give you 2. If with the money you guys have, is there somebody that realistically you guys could get? And then the second kind of part of that, no contracts, doesn't matter where he's at right now, doesn't matter about money. Is there a superstar out there that you would pair with Doncic if you could?
I mean, just as far as within this free agent class.
No, I was talking about just 2 different questions. The first one is somebody that you feel like you could realistically possibly get with the free agent class coming up, and then the second part of the question is just if you could pick anybody to blend in, a dream scenario, who would you blend in with that you think would fit well with Doncic?
Gotcha. Obviously, I think one person that stands out that I would love to, get in a Mavericks uniform would be Chris Middleton from Milwaukee. I feel like that's kind of a player set that would fit very well with Luka. We got Wesley Matthews on his last year of his contract, and aside of his personality and what he does in the community aside, that the whole scenario has just been a disaster. The Mavericks should have never given Wes Matthews all of his money to come here, coming off an ACL, and then he came back way too soon. So I'm certainly looking to upgrade at the potential like shooting guard, small forward position, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, for sure.
And just the fact that Middleton's big, he can defend and he can shoot the perimeter shot. I'm completely for. I feel like that's kind of like a second, third tier type of player that Dallas could actually like entertain. I don't feel like they have any shot realistically to add like KD, Kawhi, Jimmy. Hey, they're not coming to Dallas. Like
right.
There's like a zero. There's not even a percentage of a chance in the positive that's going to happen. So like, rather than having these hopes and like, oh, okay, we've got a meeting with Kawhi. Like, like meetings mean absolutely nothing. The Mavericks have had so many meetings like with people the past years, like in free agency, and just gotten screwed, and they're left at the altar. Like, well, that sucked. We have no money now. Kind of. And it's funny now that the Mavericks have DeAndre Jordan, and then, of course, the only reason Matthews has that big contract was because of DeAndre Jordan. So thanks for that, pal.
That's true. That's fine. Hey, you never know. Maybe Kevin Durant will say, LeBron talks about getting to the finals with that Cavs roster. Maybe, maybe Dallas will be a spot that KD feels like he could build his resume. Like, what if
Mark Cuban is a good salesman.
Yeah. Watch me win a ship in Dallas, LeBron, and let's talk about legacies then.
You see, and that's funny because you would think as good as a salesman Cuban is,
right.
Like you think they would have already had like an opportunity to get one of these guys here. It's just, it doesn't happen. I really just think when it comes to these LA, New York markets, Miami or whatever, those teams are going to just always win. And it sucks because like Dallas has no state tax. So, when people are going to LA, obviously Dallas tries to use that like, hey, come to Dallas, go to LA, you got to pay all this tax. We don't have that over here. So they always try to throw that out and they don't ever get a fish on the hook.
Right.
Oubre would Middleton would probably be one. Another cat I'm looking at right now and really enjoying is Willie Cauley-Stein. I think he'd be really fun to have as your rim running big potentially. He's like getting out there a little bit more perimeter wise. He's obviously trying to get paid this offseason for sure. Because obviously the Kings love drafting big people every year. So I'm glad he's actually getting some time to play. And I think he's showing what he could do because I liked him coming out of Kentucky. I did. I thought he could be a solid contributor. So you're asking if I'd rather have Willie Cauley-Stein or DeAndre Jordan next year? Like, give me Cauley-Stein. Yeah. And then just somebody else that I like that Mavericks could maybe get in a reasonable deal. I like Kelly Oubre just because he's super young for one, and then you'd be paying for his upside essentially, which is obviously risky, but I think right now Oubre is not even 23. He's pretty young, so obviously you'd be paying for his upside. But as you both know, those prime years when you peak are around 25, 26, 27. So I'm definitely for that, just to kind of get something new, new and obviously young in there for sure. But those would be my three kind of realistic people I think they could land in the off season. Is a superstar. Obviously it'd be great to have Kawhi in there. That'd be fun. Yeah. Or even someone like Thompson. That'd be fun too. I don't know, man. I just KD. He's cool. He kind of
don't be hating on my boy.
Hate on him.
I'm just saying, man.
You're good.
It's he cries a lot. He cries a lot sometimes.
Hey, cut this off, man. We're cutting this call.
I'm just saying, man. He cries a little bit too much for me personally. But obviously, yes. If he wanted to sign in Dallas, I'd be okay, cool. Let's do this. His personality does kind of rub me up the wrong way, and obviously him and Cuban wouldn't have to patch things up. I don't know if y'all remember that post-game interview. This would have been last time the Mavericks were in the playoffs. Cuban had made a statement about Russell Westbrook not being a superstar. First game of post-game, somebody asked Westbrook and Durant about that comment. Durant picks up the mic and says, first off, he an idiot. So they'd obviously have to have some, say, hey.
Well, the funny thing is Katie probably agrees with him a lot more now, obviously, as you can see. I think Katie was holding back a little bit there, trying to just defend his teammate. It's just people got to, how it is when people got to stand up for their teammates, even the ones like Russell Westbrook that nobody should stand up for. Jeez. Yeah, I hear you.
Well, Brian, man, we honestly just really appreciate you jumping on with us, dude. I feel like me and Pete sometimes will get on air. We're like, man, we got to cut out most of that because we could talk for probably 6 hours and then realize our wives are trying to get us home and whatnot. And I feel like you're the same dude. I think it'd be fun again to get on with you and maybe talk some different NBA stuff and keep collabing and. Maybe we could talk about my Blazers for a little bit. You guys went on KD and the Mavs, but I feel like we're all three just the same. You see, like attacked KD for a little bit, and I saw Pete almost come out of his chair, and I'm the same way for the Blazers. And we just really appreciate you kind of enlightening our listeners a little bit on what's going on with Dallas. I think a lot of even myself included didn't really know what's going on with their contracts and what the inside picture looks like from what's going on down there, and I think you did just a great job of explaining that. Yeah, just awesome ththings that I think our listeners necessarily wouldn't have known before that. And so we just want to, thank you again for jumping on and just tell our listeners really quick, give them, your Twitter name and your podcast and, anybody else or whatever that you want to give a shout out for just so they can go follow you guys as well.
Yeah, for sure. Podcast, again, if anybody's interested, it's Blue Hardwood Pocast. Apple, Google, Pocket Cast, sponsor the podcast if you want to follow it there. Anybody wanting to look at, in Mavs-related articles, Dallas Sports Nation, you can look through the Mavs Nation page. We've got a lot of good dudes writing a lot of, Luka-based things. So, hey, man, if you're looking to catch a Luka article, we've got a lot of hardworking guys. I feel like it's even harder to sit down and try to write an article than do a podcast. So
that's true.
Shout out to anybody trying to sit down and write anything. I mean, God, man, I feel like I have trouble just speaking sometimes rather than having it to be a functional article where it's no grammatical errors. So
yep, no, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And, Brian Zilem on Twitter, first and last name as well there. Game recaps, post games sometimes, definitely some talking points. Obviously, I'll have the feed available on my site, the podcast as well, so that way we can kind of just get that out there and share that with everybody as well. Cause
we appreciate that.
Sure you guys are getting. Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah, man.
Want to make sure you guys are getting some love and acknowledgement as well, so I definitely don't have a problem uploading it there as well. So
no, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
man.
no, that would be huge, man. We really appreciate that, Brian, and good luck to your Mavs the rest of the way, and I'm sure we'll talk pretty soon. I'll shoot you a text here pretty soon, man.
Oh yeah, man.
Appreciate it.
All right, take care.
Have a good night, man.
You too.
Right on, man. That was sweet having Brian on the line. That's our first ever interview, and I think that was a ton of good information.
Yeah, I loved it, man. I learned a lot. Like he had everything down, the contracts and all that stuff.
I love that, man. And I just love, like I said during the interview, that he shares that same, kind of passion that we do about our teams. It's like, you could tell if we get him on again and we get into a debate with him and someone brings up the Mavs, he's like, he's jumping.
Yeah, if you diss Doncic or Dirk, he's going to get defensive like we do.
Yeah,
I like that. It
was cool, man. Yeah, he seems like a good dude. We'll look forward to getting on with him.
Yeah, he's really
again
cool
sometime.
Dude.
Yep. Just before we get out of here, all this Dallas talk's got me thinking. So I'm actually taking a trip, this spring to Dallas, and I'm just curious, anybody that's out there, I would love to hopefully catch a Mavs game. But is there anything in Dallas that I should check out? Is there any restaurants or it's going to be me, my wife, and my newborn down there. But if there's anything that you feel like I should go to or I should take my wife to, tweet us in, let us know, let me know. So when I go down there, I got some inside information for some Dallas people. And once again, thanks to Brian. Thanks to Pete. Yeah, thanks to our producer, Doug, for all the work he always does for us.
Yep.
And, Rip City.
Boo.